Belle Gunness was a lady fair in Indiana State. She weighed about 300 pounds, and that is quite some weight. That she was stronger than a man her neighbors all did own. She butchered hogs right easily, and did it all alone. But hogs were just a sideline she indulged in now and then. Her favorite occupation was the butchering of men.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
It's alive!
I was with you.
They're coming to get you. Black out of Grayskull. This is
Me?
Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I did not think Lindy was going to kick it off with a fucking limerick. That was fucking awesome.
That's badass shit right there. Holy shit. Welcome back to Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants, where we talk about weird shit, weird people, and weird poop. I don't know. I'm Zach. Joining me always is
Hello.
Matt and Lindy.
Hi.
And again, we have Zitad.
Zitad is here. Ooh.
We need to break out all the accents we could because today we are talking about the stupid, crazy, fucking psycho bitch.
I'll tell you what, man. This story is...
And this is a big one, dude. We're gonna Lindy, you said you're breaking this up because we cannot fucking cover all of the shit in one. We probably can't even do this one too. So
I can't even do this one in two.
And this is just what's known, too, because I guarantee you there are more, because this bitch is a fucking nut bar. Deluxe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say we've covered some crazy whack ass fucking people so far in the 40 episodes that we've done. This is 41, I believe. But this lady she's the fucking nut job
one of the cold hardest people I've ever heard of.
She's the queen of the pile of shit, as far as I'm concerned, as far as what we've done.
Like,
so
if
far,
her and H.H. Holmes got together and had a baby, it would be the fucking Antichrist.
We'll get into that, but I think H.H. Holmes might have inspired this bitch.
He was just before her,
It
right?
did take place right after. Yeah, H.H. Holmes took place right before.
I read up on her a little bit last night, and I was very thankful that I was born when I was, because I probably would be dead right now. Oh, hey, you're hot and you're catfishing me, and you want me to come live on your farm, and I'm on my way.
Except she wasn't hot.
I said she was catfishing.
Unless you're into old, huge
mouth like a frog, bitches with tiny feet.
Hello, my name is Belle, and I'm built like a brick shit house. I probably outweigh you by 400 pounds, but I have nice small feet.
I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for that. New York, I've been smoking. Hey, baby, come on over. I'll play with your balls. I'm like, hey, I'm in. Let's do this.
Only in America, baby.
Okay. All right, Lindy, we'll stop destroying the story. Yes.
So I have to give credit where credit's due. My opening was from an anonymous artist, and it was only part one of the Ballad of Belle Gunness.
Okay. Well, hopefully we get to hear more later.
We'll put the citations down here somewhere.
Check in the description below or whatever. Fuck, I don't know.
or whatever, yeah.
Like and rate Lindy's limerick.
All right, well, let's get this bitch. Born Brynhild, Paul's daughter, Storset, on November 11th, 1859.
Wait. You mean Brynhild Paulsdotter Storset?
Strap in.
That's exactly what I meant.
This is going to be nonstop.
This is going to be great. I'm so excited. She is one of the 7 children born to Paul Peterson Storset and his wife, Berit. The family was poor. They were barely able to avoid starvation, and on some occasions, they collected welfare. They received about 10 kroners of poor relief from town coffers. Paul was a sharecropper, and he leased roughly an acre of land where they raised a few cows, sheep, and goats. They also grew barley, oats, and potatoes. In winter months, Paul would supplement the farm income by working as a stonemason. The family lived in Ingbaya, which is a teeny settlement in the district of Selbu, Norway. As is common with farming children, Brynhild had her share of chores. She was expected to do the milking, draw water, watch over the cattle so they didn't wander off.
You said milking.
Or, this is super interesting, was common belief at the time, the cows would fall victim to hill spirits who would shrink the cows to the size of a mouse and drive them away to a mysterious subterranean.
Well, that happens all the time. This
Right?
This is what you deal with when you're a milker. It's common.
I mean, everybody in the Midwest knows this.
Papa, the cow has shrunk again.
She was also sent out every day to gather
I didn't know.
surface, which is
Sorry.
dried up.
I didn't know if you knew, but that's where they get the little creamer things from for your coffees from the tiny cows.
You come from the baby
The little
cows.
Baby Belle, please.
Is that where baby bells come from?
All the tiny cheeses.
Baby
and
bells
everything.
come from big bells.
We are never going to get through this fucking episode.
Oh, shit. Probably not. Okay, she was also sent out every day to gather snurkvist, which is dried up twigs normally used for kindling. This chore earned her the demeaning nickname of Snurkvist Paula from their asshole neighbors.
Oh, look at the snurkfish Paula.
Snurkfist sounds like some kind of disgusting fish kind of meal that they would make.
Also sounds like a good punk rock band name right there. We are Snurkfist.
The name of your next album.
Dude, only if it's a death metal band, because then it's all the twigs thrown out to be your name.
It's aged
Snurkfist!
for 13 years in salt, and then you just eat it raw. Fucking gross.
I'm going to have to turn my mic off. Oh, God.
After working all day, she would sit by the fire and knit mittens, caps, and other goods from wool, and she would listen to the family storyteller who would regale them with tales of magic. In 1874, at the age of 14, Brynhild was confirmed at the Evangelical Lutheran Church. Her pastor evaluated her as good in religious knowledge and diligence. This was a ranking that only one half of the girls obtained. That same year, she was hired as a dairymaid for a neighbor named Rhodey, who would describe her as a diligent human being that in all ways well-behaved. After her infamy, the local paper known as the Selbigen would write that she was remembered by many as a very bad human being, capricious and extremely malicious. She had unpretty habits, was always in the mood for dirty tricks, talked little, and was a liar already as a child.
I love the way that like the language barrier like makes these things like she was a dirty liar and she was unclean. Instead of like she was a fucking psycho little bitch as a kid.
And then later on, the papers in America were way more friendly. They're like, "That's a huge bitch."
So it is also rumored that at 17, she was impregnated by a wealthy landowner's son. He had no intentions of marrying her, so he lured her to a desolate area and beat her so badly that she miscarried. The rumor goes on.
Stop.
That's just rumor, though. Like, I mean, that's just supposedly.
Just rumor. The rumor goes on to say that her assailant died shortly after from an intestinal ailment that suspiciously had the same symptoms as
Witch's cake?
poisoning. There is nothing to back these
Matthew,
rumors, however,
easy.
so I believe this to be tale spun in the aftermath.
Probably.
Yeah.
So in 1881, at 22, Brynhild was invited by her older sister, Olena, to come and live with her in America. Olena, who now went by the more American name of Nellie, had made the move several years earlier and was now married and living in Chicago.
Todd, are you
What's
all
up,
right?
Todd?
All I've got is a fucking Rammstein song. Snurkfist. Snurkfist.
Can't get it.
Oh my God, I can't get it out of my head. Oh, I'm sorry. Snurkfist.
I don't know. As soon as I heard Nelly, I started thinking about some of those old songs from St. Louis.
I'm from the new and I'm proud. Snurkfist.
We'll come up with something.
Oh, shit. Okay. Brynhild accepted the invitation and made the journey. She also chose to take a more American name and started to call herself Belle Peterson.
Wait a minute. You're not going to mention the trip over there on the boat?
I was hoping you wouldn't.
I was trying to shorten this a little bit, but the trip over was, it was better than it had once been, since now the steamboats that took them over were a lot faster. Where trips used to take between 50 and 60 days, they were now only taking 10 to 14.
I couldn't spend one day on that fucking ship.
But
No. Very close quarters, very full of vomit, very,
Sewage.
very, very bad conditions.
they all had to share the same toilet, and they played
Which was basically the
Yeah.
deck.
Just stacked up.
and they could just watch the shit pile up to a huge
Shit mountain.
and then they would say, "When is it going to fall over?"
I'm surprised it wasn't all just runs from what they were eating, though.
Yeah.
Most of the people couldn't eat.
Like the
It
was-
it was stale biscuits,
Stale
and-
biscuits and tea
some-
in the morning,
whatever
and
the
then
soup
like
was, herring, some halibut.
halibut
salted,
soup.
aged.
salted halibut soup. Which
Yeah.
sounds
It sounds like
delicious.
It sounds
like the
absolutely
drippings that would come out.
Don't you want to take me on a sea cruise?
Sounds like the drippings that would come out of a sardine can. It's like, enjoy. It's a whole bowl of it.
I'm so glad everybody was ready for this episode today.
Don't worry, you can soak it up with this rock of a fucking biscuit we've got for you.
Your brown's going to be a little more gray than usual, but it's okay.
That's
All
okay.
right.
Yo,
So
Snurkfist, I'll give you some more of my sardines for a Yankee later.
Sorry, Lindy, for your 5-parter that you're gonna have.
Yeah,
'Cause we won't
exactly.
shut the
We're going to
fuck
have to
up.
split this into 5 now. So once she made the move to Chicago, she found work in domestics, and she was making very little money. Having grown up poor, she knew nothing of the finer things in life, but now that she lived in Chicago, she could walk by shop windows and see things that she had never dreamed existed. Belle became obsessed with money and luxury. It is not clear how she met Mads Ditlev Anton Sorensen, possibly by walking past the Mandel Brothers department store where he was a night watchman, but that's my speculation. That's not fact. But the couple were married in March of 1884. Not much is known of the first decade of their marriage, but it is known that Belle loved children. She was especially drawn to abandoned and orphaned children, and she would attend what were known as the children's picnics at Humboldt Park. She would go out onto the platform and offer to care for children who needed a home. Belle and Nellie had a major falling out. Belle was unable to conceive during the early years of her marriage and had taken a special interest in Nellie's youngest daughter, 4-year-old.
I hate this bitch so bad.
Belle demanded that since Nellie had 5 children, she should let Belle take and raise Olga. Nellie would allow Belle to take Olga for extended visits.
You got 5 of them. I mean,
That
give me
doesn't-
one.
Just one.
No,
I only
it's-
want
it's-
one.
What's the
No,
big
it's
fucking
not like
deal?
I have 5 Michael Jordan rookie cards and I'll give you one. This is a fucking human that I produced. No. Go
Narc. No.
I have so much Snurkfist. I'll take more.
All these damn babies that I've produced. You can take one, I suppose. It's just on lease.
Don't
Rent
feed
own.
it. Don't feed it after midnight.
The
This Snurkfist will become something you do not like.
This is not going away, is it?
No, I'm pretty sure Snarkfist is never going away
I'm
again.
getting a shirt
I know.
made.
It's kind of like pizza rolls now at this point.
It's
It's
gonna
just
come back.
staying.
Maybe we need to have a shirt that says "Snurkfist and pizza rolls forever, man."
Ben Franklin.
With Ben Franklin.
endorsing it.
Yeah. He's got to be holding the pizza rolls in one hand.
Whatever the fuck Snurkfist is in the other. I don't know. Might be a pretty explicit shirt.
So Nellie would allow Belle to take Olga for extended visits, but she would not allow Belle to adopt the child. And from then on, Belle and Nellie
What?
hardly
She wouldn't let her
spoke.
adopt her like a crazy fucking person?
Right? No, you know what? Go ahead. Take my child for 6 weeks at a time. But no, you cannot call her yours. Can't happen.
Yeah.
So in 1891, Belle and Mads were able to take in a child, 8-month-old Jenny Olsen. Jenny's mother had become ill and was dying. The little girl was placed in Belle's arms, and the mother asked Belle to swear that she would guard the little one and raise her as her own. Belle agreed. Jenny's father was in the picture, and he saw the little girl often. He claimed that his daughter was very happy in Mads and Belle's care. But when he had remarried, he attempted to get custody of Jenny back. Belle fought him in court, and she won.
Which is weird.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it was a few years later. They didn't say exactly how long, but I think at this point, Jenny was closer to like 4. So she had been with Belle and Mads for quite some time.
So that's probably the only thing she remembered. Yeah.
And for as evil and awful as this bitch is, she is one of the luckiest cunts that have ever lived. The way things go in her life. It was just like win after win for fucking whatever reason.
Lucky or strategic?
Yeah, well, both.
She had one of those, Matthew.
I think it was.
She had one of those.
It's a bit larger than that.
I think in as George Bush would state, this is all about strategy.
Strategy.
We need you to be more strategic with our stomping.
All right.
So even though Mads did not make much money, the couple were able to save and scrape together enough funds to purchase a candy store in 1894.
Ooh, the candy. We all love the candy. Yay.
The
we have the black licorice. Fuck the red licorice.
Did they have a van? Did they have a van? That's all I need to know. Did they have a van?
It tastes like Jägermeister, but it doesn't do the good things for you.
It's the Jägermeister before noon for you. Yay.
Come,
the stores.
Come have some Strumpfist.
Wait a minute. We got it. Snarkfish plan. Black licorice. Fuck the red kind. It does not taste like deer's blood.
Like deer's blood. Okay.
I'm gonna cry.
Don't cry. We'll give you some more Starkfish.
We haven't got.
Come on, Mindy. We're only like fucking 15 minutes into this. You got to keep going.
Hey, she's the one that fucking said Snarkfist. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't get past that.
She didn't say snarkfist. She said snarkfist.
See?
The chicken of the sea.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. So the store sold tobacco, cigars, newspapers, magazines, stationery, some groceries, and candy.
Sounds like heaven, but where's the booze? Other than that, I'm there.
Right?
I need some comic books, but yeah.
The store was located in a busy commercial district, but was not prosperous. Less than a year after the store opened, a fire broke out inside. Belle and Jenny were the only people there when it happened, and Belle ran out of the store with Jenny in her arms. She was yelling fire at the top of her lungs.
Did she yell fire? Did she yell fire? Or maybe she yelled fire.
It's probably closer to the third.
This evil bitch farted and it set the place on fire. He's fucking hellfire. So,
All right. Knock that shit off, Matt. Come on.
oh, I'm sorry for holding up.
Like
the
one
show.
paragraph
Belle
in.
Must be me.
Belle farts. The interior of the store was destroyed. Belle claimed that a kerosene lamp had exploded, but insurance investigators found no evidence of a broken lamp. So, Matt might be right. She may have farted and set the whole damn place on fire.
She definitely set the place on fire.
Or maybe she just set it on fire with a kerosene lamp. Perhaps. Hey, I waited like almost 20 minutes before I did it, but there you go.
So the insurance company eventually paid out, even though they believed it to be arson. Belle and Mads then sold the shop back to the original owner's brother, and they purchased a 3-story home with a bay window on Alma Street in the well-to-do neighborhood of Austin. Not Austin, Texas.
Austin, Massachusetts. Okay, nobody remembers road trip.
Austin.
Okay.
Austin, Texas. Austin, Colorado. Austin, Oregon.
It was one of
It
those
was an
Austins. Yeah.
Austin
Cl-
Powers.
closer
Yeah,
to
baby.
Illinois.
Yeah. Randy, aren't you?
I am now.
Hey, well, that actually leads us into the next. Between 1896 and 1898, Belle and Mads became the parents of 4 more children.
It seemed
How
like
the fuck
pretty
did that
quick
happen?
succession too, didn't it? Even though she was barren, her womb was barren because there must be a God, because this bitch was not allowed to have children. He was just like, no, nah.
We can argue about that later. Carolyn, Myrtle, Axel, and Lucy. It is unknown if the children were born to the couple, which is unlikely, as at this time Belle would have been in her late.
Did Axel take the most time coming out of the womb? I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. Where do we go now? Take me home.
Late delivery. Even though he could have walked out dancing, but Wonka took his time.
Yeah. Come on, Lindy. What's the
Jesus,
problem?
Lindy, get on with the fucking story. What? I'm sorry for being a dick.
It was also rumored that the children were obtained because they were orphaned or unwanted infants that were just taken in by the couple.
So they were baby farmers.
There are rumors. Soon after birth, 2 of the children died. Carolyn died at 5 months old from enterocolitis, which is inflammation of the bowels.
Ooh.
And Axel died
Did that
at
kid too much fucking cod soup or what?
probably maybe some Norwegian pudding.
Snarkfish.
I knew it was coming.
And Axel died at 3 months old from hydrocephalus, which is water in the brain. Mads was working for Chicago and Northwestern Railroad when an unbelievable opportunity came knocking. Literally.
More
On October
kids.
1st.
Trainloads.
Wait, but now they're down to 3. Because 2 of the 5 passed away.
Math's hard. Keep going.
Math's hard. So on October 1st, 1897, a man named Angus Ralston visited the couple at their home. He worked for the Yukon Mining and Trading Company, and they wanted Mads to join their team. He would have to be on site for 1 year, but he would be paid the same wage as the other men in the camps where the mines were located. He would receive 1/4 interest on all the mines located by him, as well as 2,800 shares of stock in the corporation, and the family would receive $35 a month while he was away.
That's a good deal.
That is
If
a
it
good
isn't
deal.
bullshit.
What's up, Todd? Go ahead. What you got to say?
No, this is the warning of the story. This is where shit's gonna get deeper.
Soon.
Deeper and deeper.
At Belle's urging, Mads signed on. The couple invested $700 in the company, and they also paid for a year's worth of his supplies. They had to put up the deed to their house to get the funds, and Mads was supposed to leave on April 1st, 1898, but 2 months passed with no word from any representatives of the company. Belle and Mads hired a lawyer to do some digging into that company and to file a suit against them. The lawyer found that the company was a sham. The company had sold the deed of their house for $500 to a real estate salesman, and the couple stood to lose their home. The lawyer did win the suit, and the couple won back their deed, but did not get their money back. Mads returned to work for the Mandel Brothers department store as a night watchman again.
I'm the night watchman watching the night, and I watch it until the sun comes up, and then I go home.
I think about Disney. 1 o'clock and all is well. That was an expensive lesson too. I mean, it was $700 even. Not even considering the house and shit like that. But $700 then was like fucking.
But if you pay attention to what comes.
Yeah. No, she learned things.
She definitely learned some shit. Yeah.
So on the evening of April 10th, 1900, a fire broke out in the Sorensen home, and it burned up $650 worth of household goods.
Holy
Not-
shit, $650? Isn't that about the same amount of money they lost?
Weird how that works, isn't it?
But the house didn't burn down completely?
No, just part of it.
No. And
How
not
strange.
surprisingly, everything that the fire took was insured.
Huh. It's like Ed Gein. Weird how that happened, huh?
Weird.
That's
Weird.
crazy, man. That's just crazy.
The couple did receive a hefty settlement from the fire. And Mads also belonged to a mutual benefits association that provided him with a $2,000 life insurance policy.
Oh, that's good. That's thinking
That was
ahead.
really good at the time. Yeah. He decided to let that policy lapse so he could take out a new one that would provide a $3,000 life insurance policy.
Ooh.
One policy would lapse on July 30th, 1900, and the other would come into effect that same day. Curiously,
So
That was one fucking day.
you said April 30th?
July 30th of
July 30th,
1900. Uh-huh. Curiously, that very afternoon, Dr. J.C. Miller was summoned urgently to the Sorensen residence. When he arrived, he found Mads fully clothed and dead, laying on his bed.
On the one day.
On the one day that the policies were both acted at the same time.
There's no fucking way you're getting away with that today. There's no fucking way. Not even close.
No. Oh,
There was this was before insurance scam laws were even invented.
Yeah, but still, this bitch, nobody seen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure people had their things, but they were like, "Oh, I can't prove it, so you can't do anything about it." But I mean, I bet everybody was like, "Keep an eye on this bitch."
Well, the family physician, Dr. Charles E. Jones, arrived shortly after the other doctor, Dr. Miller, and together the doctors questioned Belle. She said that Mads had been suffering from a bad cold and had come home complaining of a fearful headache. She brought him up a dose of quinine powder and then went down to prepare dinner for the children. When she came back up to check on him, he was dead.
Yeah.
The doctors thought that maybe the druggist had made a mistake and given her a packet of morphine instead of quinine, but they were unable to determine if that had been the case, as Belle had tossed out.
Convenient.
Crazy how that happens.
Is it?
So the doctors,
Here's the doctor, exactly. Walks into the room. What's that smell? Must be a snarkfish in town.
the doctors cited cerebral hemorrhage as Mads' cause of death. Belle collected $5,000 from life insurance, which is $150,000.
How you can't make that work? Why she had to keep going is just beyond me. But yeah, that's a lot of money.
I think she grew up
Cocaine's
poor.
a hell of a drug. Hell of a drug.
She grew up poor, and
Poor.
she decided she's not going to be a pour person, and she got fucking greedier and greedier.
Yeah, I just don't know
Greedier, yes.
how you guys go through that kind of money. Like they do.
God damn. I said God damn. God damn.
Mads was buried beside his two infant children on August 2nd, 1900. After Mads' death, Belle went to Minnesota to visit with a cousin who lived on a farmstead.
Or
The
did
idea-
she go to Minnesota? I think she went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
The idea of resettling on a farmstead of her own became intriguing to Belle, and she took out an ad seeking property in the Chicago Tribune. She was soon contacted by the owner of what was known then as the Altic Place. The Altic Place had a sordid reputation all its own, but seemed to have no trouble being sold. And we could honestly do a whole episode on the Altic Place, so I'm not going to go into its sordid history. If
It
you wanna
was
know,
a
go look it up.
whorehouse. It was whorehouse. Yeah.
It was a bordello, yes.
I think there's a
Smell the
Misfit.
snarkfish I
Is there a
do.
Misfit song about that? The Devil's Whorehouse. Is about it.
Probably.
After Belle sold her home on Alma Street, she bought the Altic place and moved herself and her 3 children to the 48-acre farm in LaPorte, Indiana. So we're going to jump back just a little bit here. During the early years of Belle and Mad's marriage, they had taken in a boarder named Peter Gunness. When Peter left their residence, he went back to visit Norway and then moved to Minnesota, where he married. He and his wife had 2 daughters, but his wife died giving birth to their second child. Belle had heard about this and made it a point to go visit with the newly widowed Peter while she was in Minnesota with her cousin. On April 1st, 1902, Belle and Peter were married.
That's some quick work.
5 days.
isn't it?
Yeah. 5 days
She
after.
must have had a sweet, sweet tushy or something. I don't know. Because this lady was not a looker.
No. So I think that.
Anyway, you were
I
saying.
think that people, it's stated all throughout the book and everything that I use to go over this story that people of Norwegian descent, when they crossed to America, had a severe longing for very traditional, Norwegian
Snarkfish.
customs.
What
and
you're telling
Belle
me
was,
is they missed the fishes.
yes. And Belle was very, even though she had moved here, she stayed very true to her Norwegian history.
Roots.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think she just offered something that they were missing.
Okay. Makes sense. If I'm going to murder a bunch of people, I'd rather they be a bunch of people that I come from.
Yeah. 5 days after they were married, Peter's 7-month-old daughter passed away from edema of the lungs.
That's a fucking monster, man. She's a fucking
Okay, so that's
monster.
1, 2, 3, 4 now, right? We're up to 4, the 4th body. Because
That's-
2 kids
well-
prior, and then the husband, and now the new husband's daughter.
So there's also Jenny's mom.
I thought she was dying.
From what?
Belle really wanted a child. So
She's basically a hero.
I personally am of the opinion that
So what you're saying?
may
we're up
not
to
really
number
have
I
been
believe-
dying.
5. We're already at 5.
6.
Yeah, I'm with Lindy on that.
Shit.
I do think that she poisoned her too. Yeah.
Yes.
Holy shnikes, that's a lot of
It's
bodies
already-
We're only
already.
32 minutes in this.
Already. Yeah, guys, I'm too
In the wake
this.
in the wake of this
Read faster.
I'm trying.
in the
I'm
wake
trying.
of this content.
So
Belle had a big brown snarkfish.
This sounds like a Primus song.
8 months.
But I had a big brown rock snake.
8 months later, at around 3 a.m. on December 16th, Jenny took a fire poker and ran down to the neighbor's home. She used the fire poker to bang on the Nicholson family door. She wanted to be sure to wake them. Once the door was answered, Jenny said, "Mama wants you to come up. Papa's burned himself." Swan and Albert Nicholson followed Jenny back to her farm to find Peter face down and unresponsive in a pool of blood on the parlor floor. Albert ran all the way to town to find Dr. Bowell. Bowell and Albert drove back to the Gunness farm. Peter's body was already growing rigid. His nose was severely broken, and there was a wound to the back of his head that was caked with blood. Bowell's first impression was that Peter had been murdered. He led a hysterical Belle back into the kitchen to try and get some answers, but her story only gave him more questions.
Oh, the fishy.
So was he burned? Because she said he was burned, right?
She
But-
said he was burned.
Okay.
We'll get into it a little more. In Belle's hysterical state, the doctor was able to gather that Peter had gone into the kitchen to get his shoes, which he kept by the stove to keep warm. As he bent to grab his shoes, a meat grinder fell from a shelf above him and struck him in the head and knocked him over. And knocked over a bowl of brine that burned his neck. Peter told
now
her...
Now we're getting down to the brine and meat grinder of this shit.
That's what normally happens.
Would you like a meat pie? I know
Peter
a good
told-
barber.
That was in London, sir. Peter told her he was all right, but needed some rest. A few hours later, she found him dead on the parlor floor. Belle was having a hard time buying her story and decided to try to get answers the next day from a post-mortem examination. Albert Nicholson and the newspaper also had a hard time believing the story, and the newspaper printed a headline article stating that the sudden Gunness death, which happened in a mysterious manner, gave strong indications of foul play.
Damn
Yeah,
bird.
You say?
A little bit. Yeah.
Fuck those owls.
Swallows in the chimney.
I blame these sausages.
I'll go with the swallows in the chimney before the owls because then it makes me think of the alien stuff and then I get scared. So
Yeah, that's not this episode, bro.
Back to murder.
The afternoon of December 16th, Dr. Belle was assisted by Dr. H.H. Martin to perform the post-mortem examination on Peter. There was no evidence of burns on the body whatsoever. His nose was cut and broken, consistent with severe blows or the result of falling on a blunt object like the edge of a board. The back of his head had a laceration through the scalp, and after removing the pericranium, they found a fracture and depression on the inner plate of the skull that matched the location of the laceration on the scalp. This caused an intracranial hemorrhage. His death was the result of the pressure from the hemorrhage. Belle impaneled the jury and conducted an inquest into the death of Peter Gunness.
Stop you right there. I want you to raise your microphone up just a little bit. I just marked it. Raise it so it's more up. So you're talking, because you're still talking onto the top of it and you're kind of starting to cut out.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the one.
Don't make
That's
me
the
drive
one.
over there and put
Yeah.
that mic in front of your face again.
All right. Just make a conscious effort to know where you're sitting right now and just try to stay there.
Got
Okay.
it.
And go.
They held the inquest on December 18th, 1902, in the very room where Peter died. Belle was asked to describe the events that took place on that night. Belle recounted that she had put the kids to bed and then went into the kitchen to stuff sausage casings from the pork that Peter had ground for her that day. When she finished, she washed the meat grinder and then went to the parlor where Peter was reading a newspaper. She sat with him for a while and then told him it was pretty near time to go to bed. Peter agreed, and he picked up his pipe and went to the kitchen. He always checked that the door was locked and that his shoes were placed near the stove so they would stay warm. She said she heard a terrible noise and dropped her paper. She headed into the kitchen where she found Peter rising up from the floor with both hands on his head. She explained she had left a bowl of brine cooling on the back of the stove so she could use it on some head cheese.
Delicious.
Head cheese.
That just sounds so... I read that like 6 times because I was like...
I'll tell you what, I used to be a butcher, worked as a butcher, cutting head cheese. What it reminds me of when the seldom people that would come in there to actually order it is like, have you ever laid down carpet? You know, the padding that you put underneath it with like all the pieces have been glued together. That is the consistency of that shit. That's exactly what it feels and looks like.
I just think Texas Chainsaw
Oh,
Massacre.
yeah, they were, yeah.
Every time.
But
Every time.
that's the consistency of it. It was very seldom somebody would come in and order it, but whenever they did and I was slicing it, it was more like just gelatinous. It's
A note to self, listener. If anyone you know goes out and orders head cheese, don't fucking trust that person. They're probably a fucking serial killer.
Now, let's calm down. If they're under 80 and they order it.
Okay. All right. I'll allow it. All right, Lindy, continue.
Belle reiterated, asking her, where was that? On the stove or shelf? She said on the back of the stove. She had washed the meat grinder and placed it on the shelf of the stove to dry. Peter told her that he had burned himself something awful and all his clothes were wet. She told him to take off his clothes so she could place towels with baking soda and water solution on them. Belle asked her if all the brine had spilt. She said yes, and that she thought the bowl was nearly empty. Belle asked her if the brine was boiling hot. She said it had been boiling, but it had stood for some time on the stove, so it wasn't still boiling, but it was still hot enough to burn. She then rubbed Peter with Vaseline and liniment. Belle asked if she had noticed the wound on the back of his head, and Belle said she had. Belle asked if it had been bleeding. Belle said not much. The bleeding had seemed to stop. Belle told her to continue, and she said that. They sat in the kitchen, and she rubbed Vaseline on her husband's neck. Peter told her he was afraid that he was going to lose some of the hair on account of that burning, and he was complaining terribly. They returned to the parlor and sat there for a few hours.
Guy's dying. He's worried about fucking losing his hair. Jesus Christ.
She used that. So
Thank you. I didn't.
No,
I did
dude,
not think of that. But
She used the snake. She used the snarkfinch.
the snarkfish had the
Now it's in there.
Vaseline.
Now it's in there. Okay.
So by then he was starting to get a little better, and Belle asked him if he wanted to lay down in the parlor since it was warmer than their room. He told her yes, and she fixed up the lounge for him to sleep and helped him into his nightshirt. Then she went up to lay down with the children. Belle awoke to Peter calling for her. She came downstairs, and he was walking around the room saying his head, his head. He didn't know what was the matter with his head.
Probably the fucking meat grinder.
She asked him what the matter was, and he said, it's like something going on in my head. She asked him what he was talking about and asked him to let her see his head and told him she supposed he might have rubbed off the skin. She told him she would send for a doctor and went upstairs to wake Jenny. And the girl went over to the Nicholsons. She said when she came down from upstairs, Peter was holding his head and asking her if he was going to die. She asked what was paining him so, and then she took him some water. He told her not to touch his head. When the Nicholsons got to the door, she had been sitting down next to Peter, rubbing the spot that was sore, but she got up to open the door. She said when they came in, she thought he might be unconscious. Belle asked, about how long do you think it was from the time that he was hurt out there before he died? Belle said, well, I guess it must have been after 11 o'clock he was hurt, and I didn't think he was gone until after you come here. She was very elegant.
After you come here, that's when he die. That's when he go away to the snarkfish.
Tied in.
I was making head cheese in lefse, and he just fell down and said, my head hurts. There's things going on in my head.
Because she was making the head cheese with his shit.
Borgy. Anyway.
Belle said, you sat up with him for 2 hours after he was hurt? Yes, Belle replied. Of course, I wasn't upstairs long. I said goodnight and went upstairs and was there a short time when he called me. Belle asked, did you say that he was burned bad? Belle nodded. He was red on the neck and the skin was blistered by the ear here. Belle asked, how do you think he got that hurt on his head? Belle said, I don't know, doctor. I picked up the meat grinder from the floor and I think it must have tumbled on him one way or another. That's what I think, but I didn't see it. Did he say anything about it? Belle asked. He didn't say anything about the hurt on his head, Belle replied. Belle asked,
on his head?
The snarkfish tumbled me with the grinder.
On account of he was unconscious. He had just been bludgeoned in the back of the fucking head. He didn't say anything. I'm sorry. He didn't say anything.
By Belle as a brick.
It just fell from this ledge at this height and shattered his fucking skull. Okay, fair enough.
Belle asked, when you found that cut, did you tell him his head was cut? Belle said, I asked him where he had been with his head because it was sore in the back, but he didn't tell me. Belle inquired further, and Belle replied that her husband never explained how the bowl of hot brine came to tip over on him beyond saying that he must have got against it somehow. Belle asked about Peter's nose, and she said, I can't say. I didn't notice the nose before they told me. Belle pressed, didn't he complain of that? Didn't he bleed from the nose? Belle told him that Peter didn't bleed from the nose at all. Belle wondered if Belle thought it possible that somebody may have come in here and killed him, hit him with that sausage grinder, and you not hear him.
What a way to go. Hit him with the sausage grinder.
Most likely the reason.
Death.
Yeah.
Death by sausage. She was emphatic that if anybody had come in, I would have heard them some way or another. Belle's final question to Belle was about their relationship. You always lived happily together, you and him? Belle said with a shrug, as far as I know.
Seems nothing more to look at here, guys.
That's
Wrap
legit.
it up.
That's
This is definitely an accident. We
Move along. Nothing to see
to the
here. Move
next
along.
crime.
Yeah. This is obviously just another, common case of somebody gets murdered by a
Grinder
sausage
to the head.
grinder.
Sort of mousetrap game accidents that happened for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
A perfect
yeah.
cartoon accident.
Yeah.
Spy,
Was it an
spy
Acme
versus spy
sausage grinder?
shit. Accident. You know.
So Jenny Gunness, who was just 6 months shy of her 13th birthday, was next to testify. Jenny told the panel almost precisely what her mother had said. She said that her parents had been butchering a pig, and they were fixing the meat, and they were going to make sausage. After finishing the work, her mama washed everything and put it on the stove to dry. Then she went to the parlor and read the paper with her husband, and then she guessed he was just going to go out and get his shoes. After a few moments, Bella heard a noise that startled her, and she hurried into the kitchen to find that Peter had burned himself. She didn't know it was anything else and thought he had better take a little rest. Her mama got him settled on the couch and came upstairs to sleep beside her and the children, and then they heard Peter call Mama, Mama. He told her his head hurt and she should come down to him. When asked what happened next, Jenny said she got right up and come downstairs where she found her stepfather lying on the parlor floor. While her mother tended to his burns, Jenny went right out to the Nicholsons, taking the stove poker to rap on the door to get them up. When she returned with Swan and his son, Belle told them to go right for the doctor. Did she tell you he scalded himself? Bowl asked. Jenny answered, she said he had burned himself. She didn't know it was anything serious. Bowl asked, when she was bathing his head, did she find he was cut? Jenny said, I don't know. I guess she only thought it was just a little place, for it didn't show. How do you think he got hurt on his head? Bowl asked her. Well, I couldn't tell you or Mama either, Jenny said, but when she came out there, that thing was on the floor. Didn't he tell her? Bowl inquired. Jenny replied, not that I know of. Bowl pressed, don't you suppose he knew his head was cut? Jenny said, well, I suppose he did, but I don't know. The doctor suspected that the girl had been coached by her mother and asked if the two of them had talked about how he got hurt. Jenny shook her head vigorously, insisting that we haven't talked at all. At the same time, she admitted she had been asleep when the accident had happened. So Bull pressed Jenny hard on if Peter had life insurance, if he had a will, had he brought any money with him when he moved to LaPorte. Jenny answered she didn't know to all of the questions. He asked her about Mad's death. He wanted to know if she had been in the house when he died. Jenny told him she had been and went through her account of Mad's death. Bull asked her if Mads had left her any life insurance, if he had left any money at all. Jenny said, I don't know. I think he did, but I don't know anything about that. Bull asked where her...
I'm a little girl. Why wouldn't you leave me alone?
Pretty much. Bull asked where her mother had gotten the money to buy this place, and Jenny replied again with, I don't know. They ended the inquest with the testimony of Swan Nicholson. He stated that he hadn't seen any burns on Peter Gunness and that he hadn't seen any blood on the couch. Asked if he thought a meat grinder falling from where it did and hitting Peter could have broken his skull, he answered, I think it could have been possible, but I never thought there was anything but the way she told me. Bull ended his interrogation by asking if Swan thought it possible that Mrs. Gunness might have killed him. Swan said, no, I never thought that. No, sir. They be like a couple of children, and the same as the day they were married. However, moments before, he had told the doctor that he knew virtually nothing about his neighbors, and that he thought Belle was all right, but they had very little dealing with her. He had only been there once, and his wife had been maybe twice.
Okay. So basically, I'm not sure if this lady's a lying, murdering bitch or not, but I can't back it up, so I can't say she is.
It was the goddamn snarkfish.
I can't get every time I hear Swan, I think of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Lynn Swan.
See, you say that, and I think Billy Madison. Stop looking at me, Swan.
I was thinking of an amazing wide receiver,
and then it makes me think it's much too warm for a penguin like
through
you.
This incoherent rambling, did you ever have a semblance of any true knowledge or wisdom?
Everyone
and we are all somehow dumber for having listened.
A simple no would have done.
Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. A simple no would have sufficed.
So Peter's funeral took place in the Gunness parlor on December 19th. People all throughout the service kept saying they believed that Belle had killed Peter. Later that same day, however, Dr. Bowl released his findings. He stated He stated that after having examined the body and heard the evidence, we so find that the deceased came to his death by the accidental falling of the auger part of a sausage mill, falling from the heating shelf of cook stove in his kitchen and striking him on the back of the head. The impact of said auger
Death
part
by
of sausage
grinder!
So it happens so often.
What a way to
It happens so often.
the so frequent. The impact of said auger part of sausage mill causing fracture of skull and intracranial hemorrhage resulting in death. So death by sausage auger.
Looking back through history, has that happened any other time? Probably just this once, maybe, most likely, where it fell off his shelf while you were trying to put your boots on and killed you immediately.
I mean, I'm sure that people have died from a meat grinder before,
I'm sure they have, yeah. Not falling off his shelf. I mean,
I would
accidentally getting into it.
I would think an industrial size meat grinder,
some
not
Fargo shit.
You're missing the whole point of this. I mean,
So, is that your partner in the wood chipper?
You're missing the whole lesson here. The lesson is don't fucking heat your shoes up by the stove.
Well,
There's
right?
a grinder above it. I mean, that's the lesson.
And a bowl of brine.
They didn't
And
have
a bowl
boot
of
dryers
brine.
back in the day, which I'll tell you what, a boot dryer is worth its weight in gold, and they don't weigh very much, but they're fucking amazing.
But you know it does weigh a lot?
A meat grinder.
Fucking meat
Belle
grinder.
Gunness. Oh,
And hey, both correct answers. Judges. Yes, both correct. Okay, we're gonna have to give both of you a point on that one. Moving along. Judges. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Wendy wins. I don't give a shit. That was great. You know what does weigh a
so
lot?
Bobo's report.
Gunness.
All right, come on, Lindy. Continue with your sausage fest. Let's go. Come on.
So
Smart
Bobo's
bitch.
report ended the case, but not the rumors. One rumor came from Myrtle Sorensen. She whispered into the ear of a schoolmate, "My mama killed my papa. She hit him with a meat cleaver, and he died. Don't tell a soul."
My mommy killed my daddy with the meat grinder. Oh, what a way to go. Should have hit him with the
No.
Grind him. Damn near killed him.
No, it didn't. There was no damn near to anything, Todd. It did kill him.
It did kill him.
Blarkfish, damn near snarkfish.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. Okay.
All right, come on, Lindy.
That is the end of part 1
Woo!
of Belle Gunness.
Fuck
We
yeah,
made
guys.
it.
Well done. We did it. We got
Snarkfish.
through the Romstein snarkfish. And,
Good
Lindy,
times. Good
Lindy
times.
almost
This-
lost me in the
I'll tell you what.
episode of their fucking Belle Gunness show.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out. Please continue to like, rate, and review the podcast. That's how you can help us out the most. If you want, you could go buy a t-shirt on our website, www.hmfppod, or get a koozie or a coolie, as Matt likes to call them,
Huggy.
or get a coffee mug.
It's like you
Huggy.
don't even know me.
It all helps. Sorry. Huggies are what babies wear, or loves. Anyway,
Freedom.
we will see you back here next Tuesday for part 2 of Belle Gunness, aka
Come back for more murder.
Snarkfish.
There will be so much murder.
oh my god, so
So
much
much
more
more
murder.
Yes.
You will be angry.
We haven't even talked about the pigs getting in,
Easy,
pigs in the
easy.
mud. All right.
It
Todd,
was
we
Belle
will,
Gunness in the parlor, in the kitchen with the meat grinder.
He wins.
Damn it, he wins.
Every time.
He wins.
Todd. Every time wins.
Damn it.
He definitely opens the envelope.
All right. All right, guys. Until next week, we will see you next Tuesday. I am
Spar.
Zach.
Lindy.
I am Snarkfish.
All right. Until then,
Later.
later.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
I was with you.
They're coming to get you. God of Christ.
Hello, Mr. Fancy